everybody. Welcome to Premcast. This is our first recording. My name is Stefan. I'm joined by Miguel and Dominic.
Right, and today we're going to be ranking all 20 Premier League managers. First up is Big Sam. Let's get straight into it. What do you think, Miguel?
Right. Personally, Big Sam, he's been around for many years. He's got experience in the Premier League. Usually, he's brought in to, make teams stay up, and that's pretty much his job. As a manager, I think he's good at what he does, but I don't think he is necessarily a good manager. But then you could also say, he's always succeeded. He's always managed to make teams stay in the Premier League. So I guess he's successful. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
My personal opinion would be one of that. Although he gets the job done, I've never seen Big Sam elevate a team for an extended period of time. He hasn't won silverware. He's technically got England's best ever record, but that's because he had one game. My second point would be that he seems more like a motivator because, as I said, nothing's trophies, but it's always quick results. And it's like he doesn't stick around for too long himself. He doesn't seem to have a kind of philosophy in the way that maybe a Klopp does, or even someone like Graham Potter does. He just gets 10 men behind the ball and expects one in every 5 games to give him a win because he's defended so much.
Would you not say, though, he's the best in the Premier League at doing what he does? And that is, when he's brought in to keep a team up, he does that, and he's got a very high success rate. And
I would
your
agree.
main point about him never elevating a team is, I don't know how true that is. He had that great Bolton side, which had the likes of JJ Okocha, and he played quite attacking football then. Because you're not arguing when he has these great attacking players, he plays attacking football like he did somewhat at Everton.
No, I think he's failed to adapt to the time, and that's resulted in him being proper defensive.
Fair enough. Where would you put him?
I would say he's
The hard
either
one.
average to bad.
Average to bad.
I'd say average to bad.
Personally,
Okay,
I think he's on the top of bad, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'd probably go the same.
I would have the
special.
lower side of average, but I'm happy with upper side of bad.
We're going to stick him in there for now. We can always change it. Right. Next up, we got Brendan Rodgers. Obviously, current Leicester manager, and we all know what a great job he's doing. And yeah, obviously, you being a Liverpool fan,
Liverpool.
Yeah, obviously he's been at Liverpool. Give us some thoughts about what do you think about Brendan Rodgers?
Brendan Rodgers, his time at Liverpool was, I think, overshadowed by the fact that we had a very poor transfer policy at the time. We sold all our best players, and not just that, our recruitment was quite poor. In fact, but then whatever he had, he performed well with. So you look at his attack, he had Barini, Balotelli, Lambert, with players such as Lazar Markovic, Joe Allen, Kolo Toure, and he managed a title challenge. And in the season after, with Steven Gerrard's final season, with Raheem Sterling really wanting to leave, don't get push out and leave, he still got 6th place and got us Europa League. Mind and well, he did obviously crash out of the Europa League that season on penalties to Besiktas, who we really should have beaten. But at Liverpool, I was sad to see him leave. I did think it was right, but I do think he's a class manager. Like looking at his time back at Liverpool.
Yeah, obviously, you could say he also hasn't spent necessarily a lot of money like the top managers have, and he's still competing with them. He's second at the moment, I think, in the Premier League. And his squad, obviously, great, but he won that turn Leicester after, obviously, they won the title. No one expected them to win. But it's a hard job, a team like Leicester, stay and maintain them at a top level. And credit to him, he's done a great job, I think.
Personally, I think it's a... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. I fully expect Leicester to be in the top 4 at the end of the season. He comes on every single win and he develops a team a little bit. They're slowly becoming such a hard team to break down and beat that with every season you think they're getting better. I think he is just a great manager with a great philosophy, and he's improving and adapting all the time. I don't think there's much debate you can have with this one.
I think I think he goes in great tier. I don't think he's God tier because he's not really won anything like Klopp or Pep, but he is definitely in great tier.
I completely agree. Respect to Brendan. All right, up next we've got Mr. Steve Bruce.
Mr. Rugby Face himself.
Rugby face. So what's our thoughts on him?
boring football, doesn't inspire a team, can't motivate anyone. I genuinely think he's one of the worst managers in the league, and I think he will be one of the next managers to be sacked. And that's not even me playing on the words of the tier list. I think he should be sacked. I think he's one. I think he's literally done.
I agree.
I would actually go as far as saying, see, we've still got a lot to cover, but I don't. Again, like Stefan said, his football isn't good. I don't think he's got a clear philosophy. His team is actually not as bad as people make it out to be. So I just don't think he's a Premier League quality. Maybe for a Championship club he would be decent, but he's not Premier League quality in my opinion.
I don't think he's even got quality. I think he's a worse version of Big Sam. He somehow has the same credentials as Big Sam, with the fact that he defends and he's been around for donkey's years, but he's got nothing of great accolades except when he was a footballer. He's been relegated numerous times, and it just doesn't feel like he's going to really be a successful manager and ever take the reins at a club and improve them. He did initially really well at Newcastle with Rafa Benitez's system, along with just some defensive-led solidarity, but he just took them down the wrong road, even with right signings like Maximan.
Even sacked?
Yeah.
Is he going bad on stats?
I think sacked. I think he's one of the worst.
I think he will probably be one of the. Yeah, he will lose his job in the next 2 years. I'm certain of it.
Within the next 2 months, mate.
Probably is.
All right, King Carlo. Let me say a word about him. He's generally what the King says. He comes in, he does well, he improves the team. For example, at Chelsea, he won the double in his first ever year. I don't think any other manager's been able to do that at Chelsea, winning the FA Cup and the Premier League in the first year. Given Di Matteo did it with the FA Cup and Champions League, another Italian, I think Carlo Ancelotti, with his career, he's got to be anywhere above Brendan Rodgers is a good idea, because he's never played bad football. He's won 3 Champions Leagues. He's gone to numerous finals. He's only managed great teams, in all fairness, and he's won in every competition he's ever gone to. This shouldn't really be a discussion.
Obviously, I completely agree with you. I do think Everton was a great move for him because it's a way for him to prove himself. Like you said, he's managed top teams, and going to a team like Everton, and he started well, and he's still got a long way to go. But he needed a job like Everton to prove himself. Best managers in the last 20, 30 years. I think he's a great manager. Stefan,
would you put him on the same tier as Pep Guardiola and potentially Jurgen Klopp?
Not in my opinion. I don't
Not
think
right now, no.
I don't think he's those. I don't think he's won trophies like they have, but I don't think Ancelotti is in the same level, and tactically and just the way they play and the way they manage. I don't think he's the same level as Pep.
So you're putting him in great tier. I think if he is in great tier, he's still going to be above Rodgers.
I think he should be over.
3 Champions Leagues.
Of course.
In that case, top of great tier.
If it was about 10 years ago, if it was about 10 years ago, he would be in good. But he's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
Next one is interesting.
Big TT, Thomas Tuchel. Okay, what can I not say about him? He's re-giving Chelsea a breath of life. Saved us from the Lampard days. Although I miss Lampard and I love him, it was necessary by the looks of it. We've got 6 wins in 7 or something. We're now above Liverpool and Tottenham, who everyone was saying were title challenges just 3 weeks ago. We weren't anywhere near the top 4, apparently. We were in a massive hole, and now we're only about 4 points off United. It's incredible what he's been able to do. We play some of the most amazing, entertaining football I've seen in ages. It's beautiful passing. Kovacic has become an absolute phenomenal recently. He's utilised Hudson-Odoi in the right wing-back role, something I thought I'd never be saying ever. And in his career, he did well in Germany. He won the DFB Pokal with Dortmund. And then at Mainz, he was also... Okay, he worked on what Klopp did before he went to Dortmund, but it was still success. He's never failed at a job, let's just say. And I know some people bring up the PSG always win their league argument, but first manager to take PSG to a Champions League final, he has to be in the same level as Rodgers, in my opinion.
Would you not think the reason why he's taken PSG to a final is he's got the greatest ever team in PSG's history? Furthermore, Laurent Blanc won titles in PSG, and no one thinks him as a great manager. Furthermore, he had the second best team in Germany by a country mile. Obviously, he was going to win a DFB Pokal. And furthermore, not just that, if as the second best team in this country won the FA Cup, you'd think, oh, well done. That's not shocking. Arsenal won the FA Cup last year with Miguel at the helm. It doesn't mean much. It's not that credible. It's somewhat credible, but it's not that credible.
Yeah. No, I following up on what Stefan said. Yeah, Tuchel. You could say, yeah, he's been successful. He hasn't been a manager for a long time. He's had, like Dom said as well, Mainz and Dortmund, and also PSG. But I do think, he's still got a lot to prove to be in the same category as people like Rodgers and Ancelotti. He's usually gone to teams that, obviously outside of Mainz, that have got a great squad already and got a lot of money available to them. So, you could say most managers could have done what he has, but you got to give him the respect he deserves for what he's done in the first few games at Chelsea, turning a team with pretty much no confidence after Lampard around, and he's done a good job so far. But I think he's still got a lot to prove, in my opinion.
There's one comment I've got to say here is that he's done a similar effect as Rodgers, and I think you can't call him an average manager at the end of the day. He had, although the second best team in Germany, he had a Dortmund that was plagued by Royce's injuries, and it's still Aubameyang's best goal scorer in the season to date. He's got Werner playing well, which seems like something we've never thought we'd see in London a few weeks ago. And just saying the word Tuchel was average doesn't seem, by the definition of it, correct.
Tuchel's a world-class striker. Many people were saying he should get top goal scorer.
Manager.
Werner's I meant to say Werner's a world-class striker.
Okay.
He's people were saying he would have got the top goal scorer in the league before the league started.
So he obviously under Nagelsmann, yeah. So Werner shining under Nagelsmann, and I don't think
Nagelsmann's great.
Yeah, he is great, but I don't think you can put Tuchel and Nagelsmann in the same category as people like Ancelotti, who have... Yeah, okay, Ancelotti's on the edge of the next tier, but Ancelotti's done so much of his career that... And even Rodgers, the jobs is just different, and those two managers have proved themselves. I think Tuchel he's got the potential to be a great manager, and even above that, but he's still got a lot to prove, I think.
I'm saying average.
I think average.
2-1 average.
Explain. So you obviously think, Dom, that he's great.
I think he's great. I think he's a brilliant manager. His way of playing football is so entertaining as well. So much attacking, and amazing touches and passes. It's like what you used to see with the Barcelona Revolve. They pass through your team to score.
I can understand, but I think we've got. I'm sorry, mate. We've got to go with the.
It's a 2-1. It's a 2-1
overall, and put him on average. But that is a difficult one, right?
Moving on. A sticky one.
Speaking of a difficult one.
Yeah, got Chris Wilder, current last place team in the Premier League.
Let's lay out the facts here. Let's lay out the facts. Took Sheffield from League One to the Premier League and high mid-table finish last season. Okay, that seems like a miracle to say out loud. Yeah, it's been soured now that he's not been able to bounce forward for that, and he's got statistically the worst start in a Premier League history. I think his credentials should have put him up as quite probably towards great on the average level if it stopped at last season, but that was a massive hit. You can't not win for your first 17 games and be in the same list as someone. You can't put him in the same list as Tuchel. I'm sorry.
I don't think, following up on what you said, I think Wilder's done an amazing job, obviously bringing Sheffield up all the way from League One to the Premier League. And obviously the season they had last, it was incredible. But I don't personally think it was obviously his part to play, but I don't think he's a top manager. And he's good for what, like we said, Big Sam is good for what he done and he managed, but you can't put them in the same managing skills as people like Tuchel, Ancelotti and Rodgers. I think he's got to be in the same tier as Big Sam.
Would you not say taking a team from League One to the Premier League and nearly getting Europa League in your first season is more creditable and more admirable than taking one of the best teams in England who just spent £200 million and just turning back into the form they should have already been discovering.
Yeah, but come
You
on,
could
they
say
lost
so.
they didn't win in their first 17 games. They looked, based on average at the halfway point, they were going to be worse than that absolutely catastrophic Derby team.
True.
It's a hard one. You can compare him to people like Eddie Howe. Very similar thing. Eddie Howe bought Bournemouth, I think, from League One,
Yeah,
and brought them to the Premier League, and they stayed for years, and they were a mid-table Premier League club at one point. Really similar to Wilder, but Eddie Howe did it for longer. Still not, I don't think, rated as a great manager.
I think people will say he's average at best.
Yeah, at best. And I think actually Eddie Howe's done better than Chris
I'd
Wilder.
agree.
So I think you've got to put Chris Wilder in the bad tier.
Yep.
So are we putting him above Big Sam or below?
He's going to be above Big Sam. I rate Big Sam for what he's done, but nothing compared to achievements. Fair enough. Dean Smith. What do you think of Dean Smith, boys? His Aston Villa team are currently flying high in the league, doing very well.
Yeah, I think they're doing great. Obviously, last season they were really close. If it wasn't for a controversial decision, they would have been in the Championship this year.
A wrong decision.
Yeah, wrong decision. I don't know. I'm confused about Dean Smith because you compare Dean Smith last season to this season, it's completely different.
Yeah,
I think the main word here is project. He's clearly identified a project, worked at it over the summer, and it's given and heaped for rewards this season. Aston Villa are playing good football. They were able to keep up with Chelsea when we played them. He's got the best out of Grealish, stopping him from shooting, but rather he's become more creative and putting in more of an effort. Whilst getting the best out of players I'd never thought would see in the league again, like Bertrand Traore. I think Ross Barkley also played well for him when he wasn't really necessary at Chelsea. What he's doing is slow progress, a bit like Rodgers, but not to the same extent because of his last season's failures, I'd say.
And obviously he brought Villa up as well 2 seasons ago, which is
playoffs with John Terry.
Yeah, I think he's an average manager. Obviously,
I think he should go on average.
He's not Tuchel level, but I think obviously we have a lot more managers to go, but I think he should be in the same tier.
Yeah,
I agree.
Put him there. Right, there's not much to say about Stefan. I'll let you go first, but there's not much to say about this guy.
I don't think there's any doubt of where Klopp's going in this list. I think if you think anything but good tier, you're delusional. Klopp has won the first Premier League title for Liverpool in the last 30 years. He's won us the Champions League. He's won us the Club World Cup, all these kind of things, and not spending as much as the heavy spenders. I think even if you try to debate it, you're wrong. Klopp's going in God tier.
I'll put him there for now, but obviously we've still got a little bit more to say. But yeah, just what he's done in Liverpool is, there's no words for it. It's incredible. Obviously, he had the financial backing that he needed. Bringing in players like Van Dijk for £75 million is a lot of money, but he still won everything that he had to. So yeah, you've just got to put him at the best right now.
Yeah. I've got nothing to say.
Next manager. I'm
not sure. This one is the most controversial one on this list.
The Sky Sports media merchant.
The Marmite of managers.
I wouldn't go that far, but okay, we'll take this slowly. So who wants to go first about Bielsa?
We can let Miguel start.
Right. So, Bielsa. You either love him or you hate him. That's the best way to put him. Personally, I think he's a great manager. He's not managed a top team, which I think puts his credentials down more than I think he deserves. He deserves to be top. But he's managed teams in Argentina. He's managed the Argentinian national team, the Chilean national team. He's now taken on Leeds for the last 3-4 years. And just purely what he's done at Leeds, taken a mid-table championship, and in his first season, pretty much should have got promoted but didn't, but then still won the league the year after, and now being in the Premier League and beating the top teams. Okay, yeah, he's had controversial results. The football he's playing with a team like Leeds, who you could say has one of the worst teams in the league, and playing the football he is I don't think many managers in the world could do it. That's what I think, at least. So, what do you guys think about him?
Go on, Dom.
Okay, I am the polar opposite to what Miguel thinks. I think he plays attractive football because he concedes so much. His games are fun to watch because there are 4 goals every game. He'll concede 2 and he'll score 2. He's got a negative goal difference at the moment, midway through the season, for an attacking manager who play with such uniqueness and hard to break down with so much pressing. He has his players at peak conditions with their lungs and everything. They can run endlessly. I remember Giroud saying that was the hardest team to play against when we played him this season, and we still scored 3 against them. At the end of the day, your greatest credential and things you can give to him is that he attacks a lot, but winning games 5-3 isn't more important than winning a game 1-0. Getting points is what ultimately gets you up the table, gets you more money, and everything along those lines. And another thing, his biggest accolade, apart from an Olympic medal, which no one really recognises, is making a Europa League final with Athletic Bilbao. That is the exact same that Roy Hodgson has done with Fulham. So the most credible thing you have to give to the Sky Sports Bielsa lovings is the Roy Hodgson accolade. And we saw what he did with Iceland in 2016. Another point to add to this was he's not had a massive club. He's had big teams, let's remind you. He had Lille, he's had Marseille, and they both went down in flames. And at the end of the day, although the Bilbao was Europa League final, he had a less than 40% win rate. He had a decent enough team to get an okay performance out of them, apparently once every 2.5 games. It doesn't seem what you expect from one of the prodigies of the generation we're currently living in. Let's just remind
Don't you think of, like, going back to what you said about Giroud? Giroud wasn't the only player that said this team is so hard to play against, and I know that's down to him and the way he trains his players. Is so they have to be physically better than just the top players. They have to compete with the top players, and you don't see managers expecting much from players, from their own players, and making them play the way he does. I just think yes, he's got his flaws defensively, and perhaps that's what's letting him down this year. But you've got to appreciate how he's made Leeds play.
What I will say is, though, I'm gonna add a bit to this, Miguel. Would you not argue, because he plays this great football? We've discussed this already. I would say he's probably he's a brave manager more than anything. I would never expect any newly promoted team to play anything like this sort of football. You'd much more expect him to be playing defensive football and really boring football, and no one's going to want to watch it. But what I would say is he plays a style very similar to when Klopp first joined Liverpool. No one would have said Klopp was a bad manager when that happened. No one would have said Klopp was underperforming. People were just saying he had a very poor defence. Do you not think, Dominic, that if Bielsa had a stronger defence and a stronger budget, that he would be performing much higher up the league table? Because he's got a very poor side. You saw Patrick Bamford, his striker. He's scoring many, many goals. He failed for Middlesbrough. He failed for so many teams. And he was known as a championship merchant, but he's performing in the Premier League for Marcelo Bielsa.
That's the same with Tammy Abraham, and Lampard got sacked, although he got Tammy flying. Let's just remind you, he's had a 40-year career, and he hasn't been able to outdo Roy Hodgson. That is a fact at the end of the day.
I don't think you can compare them.
But you go on about the spending for teams and things he's been in. He has had big clubs, and it's always gone down in flames for some reason. He's a strong character, which is why he demands so much physically from his players. But that doesn't always mean that what he's saying is the correct decision. He lost 4-2 to Arteta, who everyone recently was going on about. Very defensive team, they counter-attack. Bielsa is done from the counter-attack. That is a fact. Which is why when he has to sit back, it is an entertaining game, but he can be easily undone by most part of us teams.
So where are you putting him?
Obviously, we've all got different opinions about this, and so do most people that follow the Premier League. I think he's a great manager, but I know we're not all going to agree on that. So yeah, what do you guys?
I think it's better to rank him against other people already on this list. So do you think he's better than Tuchel, for example?
No.
I do. And I think I know you guys won't agree with me, but
I do. I do.
I think he's on the same level, or not on the same level, but I think he's above Brendan Rodgers.
I don't know. No. Not Brendan
I
Rodgers.
am
No.
confident in that.
No.
But we're not gonna. We got to all agree on it, so I can accept.
I'd put him above Tuchel, but below Rodgers.
But
You're both putting him above Tuchel.
I think he.
Yeah.
But then, what tier will we put him in? That's the
Average. I think he's the highest in average. The reason I'm putting him above Tuchel is, very quick point before we put him in above Tuchel. Tuchel's only point above Marcelo Bielsa is that he's won trophies. How hard is it to win trophies with Dortmund and PSG? I'm certain if
Chelsea
Marcelo Bielsa had PSG, he'd have the same.
You're saying, okay, Chelsea haven't conceded a goal from an opponent player since he's came in. I know it's 6 or 7 games, but the only player we conceded to was a Rudiger own goal. He knows how to defend and attack, no matter the team. And you can say it's Chelsea and things, but at the end of the day, we lost 6-0 under Sarri to Man City. We conceded 5.
Team of champions.
Okay,
your team is already good.
We conceded 5 to Liverpool. We can defend now. We're not even getting shots against us.
I think as well, part of the reason why is he's played a 5 at the back.
Yeah,
that's
you don't concede.
I respect what he's done. He's playing completely different football, but you can't go off an argument purely based on 7 games, because a team can have an amazing run of, like, even Sheffield, the last 7 games they've had. They're not the last. They're by far not the last in the Premier League in the last 7 games, but yet they're still last.
All right, so where are we going to put Bielsa? I think average, highest of average.
I don't agree, but I've got to accept it, obviously, because we've all got to come to an agreement. So, put him there.
Quick fire now here on Sean Dyche. I think Sean Dyche is an average manager, better than Dean Smith, but worse than Tuchel.
I rate Sean Dyche highly. His football isn't the most attractive to watch, but doing it for the time he's done it at Burnley and in the Premier League, you've got to respect it. He hasn't gone down as well, which is another big bonus. You know, he's able to beat teams. Even last weekend when he's beat Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park 3-0, it's impressive.
Yeah, I think Sean Dyche, better than Dean Smith.
What are your thoughts, Dom?
I think he's average at best. He defends with a strong team, and that's all he needs to do at the end of the day. So you've got to go in average.
Right. I'm not sure if he's above Dean Smith, but you know,
he's not.
He took Burnley to Europa League.
Okay, and he's also been relegated.
So is Dean Smith nearly relegated. Okay, well, continue.
We'll leave him there for now. Yeah.
No discussion here. He's got to.
Yeah, this man. The question that we've got to talk about here is he better than Klopp?
If we're talking about nowadays, no. Nowadays, I think Mourinho since 2015, no, he's not advancing one there. But across a whole career, he's obviously had a much better career than Jurgen Klopp. But then you also see Mourinho, apart from his job at Porto, has always had the best side in the league, and potentially could argue one of the best sides in Europe. And so has obviously utilised that as a fact and had a massive budget to spend. So that's something you could obviously talk about. But you can't just look at the past as well, because look, you've got Ancelotti, one of the managers with the most Champions Leagues in history, but yet he's been great. So I think you could make the argument that Klopp is higher than Mourinho. I'd accept either way, but I can see an argument for either.
I think Mourinho needs to be in God. I don't mind where he is. You mentioned in 2015, in fact, he won trophies at Man United at the end of the day. This was a Man United team that was made up with players such as, he got Lingard firing, a baby Rashford, let's just be honest, no Maguire, no Bruno, Pogba was their best player, aging Zlatan, who'd had to defend
Zlatan's class still. Zlatan's still class.
Okay, he still had to defend, is what I'm saying. He got these results, and then with what other players, like Marouane Fellaini and Broken Shaw and Phil Jones.
He's good tier. He's obviously good tier.
Yeah.
I think he's above Klopp.
I'll have either way.
Purely for the fact Mourinho's done it since early 2000s, and he's still. Yes, he hasn't got the best results recently, but he's still a top manager managing a team like Spurs. He's got to be top
He's got to be
so
top.
far.
Fair enough.
Nice, put that right. So next, Mikel Arteta. Who wants to go first on this one?
I'll start. Potentially a controversial view on this, but I don't rate him as a manager. I think he's shocking. I know many Arsenal fans are going to disagree with me on this one, but personally, I don't think he's credible at all. He won the FA Cup and he moved Shield against Liverpool, of course. But how have Arsenal as a team gone from top four, saying Wenger out because they weren't getting top four, to a team now that is accepting mid-table mediocrity? Like, I think they're still in the bottom half, and you're hearing Arsenal fans raving, saying how good they've been playing, and
They're
the fact
10th.
that Saka's taking 10th, same thing. But and how Saka's taking him to a new level, and that Mikel Arteta's he has this project. He has this project. Okay, maybe, but I just don't see how a team that used to want to try and win a title a couple of years ago, challenge Leicester for the title for most of it, has now suddenly accepted 10th place. Like they were annoyed that Emery didn't finish top four. Emery got sacked for not finishing top four. They replaced him with Mikel Arteta to try and push for this fourth place. Mikel Arteta should have been sacked when they were in 15th or 16th. He should have been sacked back then. I don't know how he's still got his job.
Being realistic with the Arsenal situation, they're 6 points behind Liverpool, okay? They've had to deal with the loss of Ozil, who, due to the club up, couldn't play. They lost Sanchez. They lost Giroud. They've only really got Aubameyang, who's a good player. They've got to deal with Xhaka, who's got a hot head. Half their team's under the age of 24. David Luiz doesn't know his left foot from his right. Mkhitaryan was a part of a transfer that was involved in Sanchez, and it went horribly because he was aging and he just didn't fit in the Premier League. I think Arteta isn't horrible. I feel like Arteta's inconsistent, which is his main problem. I feel like he's trying to implement a project which hasn't taken its full-on identity yet, and it hasn't been able to develop into this strong working machine that he wants it to. But you can see results here and there. He plays some good football against a bigger team sometimes, is the main word. I think it does all come down to inconsistencies. He is 3 points off of Ancelotti, 2 games less in hand. Obviously, they played 24. But he's not a horrible manager to say. He's not in the sacked. Although Arsenal as a club have taken a dive, I think that's more a result of the board making them less able to challenge for things like the title, to be honest. I think he would have to go average until we know more.
I completely agree with you, Dom. And the reason why is, as well, you've pretty much said everything, but I think Arteta, sometimes he's blamed for stuff that hasn't been his fault. I think his players haven't necessarily performed the way he's wanted them to sometimes. And I think he has got a great manager, and he's done bad with Arsenal. But I also think he find more style. Obviously, he's taken a lot of his ideas and philosophies from his time working with Pep. But yeah, I think you've got to put him average until we see more from Arsenal in the future. Just purely for the fact that he hasn't been there a long time, and he's won the cup. That's pretty impressive.
Wigan won a cup.
Yeah, but Leicester won the Premier League.
Yes, true, but
Rodgers hasn't won a cup.
Emery got sacked for not getting top four. And they've kept Arteta when he was 15th at one point. Yes, they're 10th now, but they played more games than teams above them. And they're nowhere near this Arsenal side in which we would expect. People were talking about them no longer being part of the Big Six, which now they've seemingly been replaced by Leicester, which I understand. And under Arteta, I do not see that changing.
I think with time he will perform and get the top four dream back.
Fair enough.
But I don't know. So we're putting him in average.
Yeah, I think
he's a bad manager.
He's behind Dyche.
I think he's behind Dyche. I agree. Let's put him there. Right. Got David Moyes.
Here's a Marmite manager if I've ever seen one. He was brilliant with Everton, but he's never won anything but from a little play at the start of the season, which only 2 teams can play for. And I'm pretty sure Was that against Wigan? Yeah, that was against Wigan for Community Shield. He's been great for West Ham both times he's been their manager, but he was also poor with Sociedad and Sunderland. He was shipwrecked at Sunderland. I think he had a less than 20% win rate or something. It was absolutely diabolical. He's inconsistent like Arteta, but he's been having more flashes of brilliance, such as his time at Everton. He got top 4 with them, which is something we haven't heard of for years. Not even Ancelotti's near the top 4. He's been quite lucky with some results this season. Bear in mind he's got James Rodriguez and things. I think putting him towards high average would be really fair for Moisey, especially the fact they're in, I think, 5th with 42 points this season.
I think you've
class,
got to put him above Dean Smith, I think, but I don't think he's better than Tuchel.
I would agree.
No.
I think he fits right in the middle of average.
Perfect.
Towards the top half, but yeah, I think that's good.
Let
obviously,
the Wolves genius speak for this one.
Nuno, again, I think this is an interesting one. And a lot of people rate Nuno, and I personally, I have a mixed opinion about him. He's done great as a Wolves. He's not been a manager a long time. He's managed Porto, he's managed Valencia, not done particularly well at both of them. But at Wolves, obviously, he took them on in the Championship and brought them up and made them into a top half team. But then you've also got to take into account the players and the connections he's brought in to the club, all the Portuguese players they signed. And when they won the Championship, they had by far the best team in the league. And
Yeah, they walked it.
It's impressive, but it isn't at the same time. So, and I think his football as well is a bit too negative for the way those players should be performing. But I'm not too sure. I think he's playing styles. He's very, very similar to Mikel Arteta, but I think he's just done it better than Arteta. He's had more time to, but I think
he's a lot better than Mikel Arteta.
I think he should be anywhere in between Moyes and Arteta. I think is fair.
I'd say that's fair.
I would have to agree, to be honest. Like, he's got such a pool of talent. From last season, he had one of the best teams in the league. You would be struggling to find 7 better teams than what he had. He had Traore, he had Jimenez, he had Jota last season, along with players like Doherty, Neves, Moutinho, all in the background, along with Patricio of that team. That is a really good team. He still, if you look at it now, he did perfectly what was expected of him, and now he's kind of slooping. Now he lost some big players. It seems like he's a player who elevates to the level of his team rather than a manager who elevates to the playing level that their team should be rather than produces them better. I think he is a definition of an average manager who sits back.
Where are we putting him then?
I'm thinking between Big Shaw, Dyche and Mikel Arteta.
I don't know. I feel like he's really similar to, but do you guys? I don't know if any. I'm asking, by the way. Who's actually finished higher? Was it Sean Dyche or Nuno? Because I think
both have finished 7th. Both finished 7th.
Nuno finished 6th last season because he was in that last 6 title, well, the top 4 title race on the final day of the season.
But would you not argue his side last season were a lot better than that Burnley side who got Europa League?
Yeah, I know.
And he only finished 1 position ahead.
That was a freak season from Burnley that one year. And as well, Dyche still has been relegated. He should be below Nuno.
I think he should be, I think Nuno should be in between Dean Smith and Sean Dyche.
Fair enough. I'll take that.
The next one.
The PE teacher himself.
I think we'll have a similar opinion to this for this one.
You can't. There's not a lot of arguments you can make for him being great, is there?
He's performed this season. Bad. This season he's performed. You got to give him that. But the team he's got, it just doesn't match the team. I feel like this obviously is different, but if you I'm going to give the example of Real Madrid in the Champions League. Zidane was seen as the best manager, but you could easily say those Champions League was won by the players. What United has done is by the players and not Oli, in my opinion.
I agree. Their
Like Bruno.
midfield consists of Pogba, Bruno, McTominay, and Fred. That midfield got bought for over 200 million. Those 4 players, because they're now playing 4 central with just a right and left centre midfielder. You look at Wan-Bissaka, he was another 45, 50 million. Maguire was 80, Lindelof was 40, Luke Shaw was 40, David De Gea was actually the cheapest player. And then up front, you've got the 2, which would be one of Rashford, who was cheap, and then Cavani came on and cheap as well. But apart from that, Martial was also 50. Their team cost them a lot of money, on level with Man City, but they're nowhere near that Man City level. The team carries Ole.
Yeah.
I think he's same level as Arteta.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think it was you, Stefan, that said he should be in bad, but I still feel like he's done a better job than Arteta had.
Yeah.
He's second. He's second at the moment. You can't call him bad.
He is an average. I think he is the definition of an average manager.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay, I think so. We would agree putting him in between these 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So next up,
the next up, just put him in where he deserves. Put him where he deserves.
For me, yeah, the of our generation at least, in the last. Well, I don't know.
The last
you've also
15 years.
Last 10, 15 years, you've got to put Pep as the best manager. Not just in the Premier League. I think he's obviously before him. It was the generation of Sir Alex, but Pep is the best. I can put him there.
Pep is second best to the next up on this list. The Owl
Big
of
right.
a Man, 2016.
The Owl of a Man.
Big Brexiteer himself, got us knocked out of Europe. Roy Hodgson, what do we say about him?
I think he should be Steve Bruce.
He's a version of Pep Guardiola.
I feel like that what the definition of Steve Bruce's category is going to happen to him very soon as well.
Yeah, I think he's going to get sacked soon.
Yeah, he's going to get sacked.
Losing 3-0 at home to Burnley.
He did reach that Europa League final with Fulham. I think you can't put him in the same level as Steve bloody Bruce.
I can understand that, but he's also done he's done a lot more bad than good.
I agree.
Yeah.
Let's just put him in low bad.
Yeah, low bad. He got Liverpool in a relegation zone.
Yeah.
When he was at Liverpool, about 18th.
Good times.
Very good times.
Graham Potter.
Next up, I think, this is an interesting one. I think Graham Potter is one of the most underrated managers in the league. I think obviously his league position doesn't reflect, I think, what his work is. He's playing great football with Brighton. I think he will eventually, next season, I think he will definitely stay at Brighton. He's going to climb up that table. I think Brighton are a very promising side at the moment. And I think, personally, I believe he's an average manager. But, I don't know. The results don't back, obviously, what I'm saying. But
Something I'll say about Brighton, sorry to interrupt. I feel like they're a few players away from a very good season. They seem like they've got holes in certain positions because they concede to mistakes rather than playing poorly. I feel like once they do, they could really be in the mid-table to maybe that Conference League argument because they aren't a horrible team. They play some good football at times. They're far too weak in certain areas. And if they identify these areas, that could be brilliant. Like 2 seasons ago or something, Lewis Dunk was one of their top goal scorers. That is the kind of problems I'm talking about.
I get that. And a stat, actually, I looked up recently. Obviously, Brighton didn't have a good start to the season. The first, 10 to 15 games, they didn't play well at all. Well, no, that's the thing. They didn't get points, but they did dominate most of the games they played, which is uninteresting. I feel like you said, they need certain players. And if he gets those players that he needs, he will climb up that table.
Do you think he's better than Ollie?
You can't put him above Ollie because Ollie's he finished third last year. He's second this year. You can't put him above him.
I wouldn't say he's a bad manager, but I wouldn't say he's better than Ollie.
But what about Arteta?
I don't rate Arteta.
I agree with that. I think we should put him in between Ollie and Arteta.
The next two will be really interesting.
It's getting interesting.
We've got Ralph Hasenhüttl, someone who, for a while, people thought he was adapting brilliantly to the losses. He was changing his squad around. He had Danny Ings firing at the end of the day, nearly one of the top goal scorers. People were talking about a Euros call-up for him, which I still think is in the discussion. But he's lost 9-0 twice now. He is the only manager to do that twice in his career in the Premier League, and it's really hard to see how he can even be average with that stat hanging over his head now. He's got such inconsistent football, which is an argument we said for Arteta, but he doesn't even have the results to match Arteta. Southampton have gone on a 6-game losing run now. They have lost the plot.
I feel like they had a great start. Not a great start, but they had a good little spell where everyone was, they beat Liverpool, which was impressive, and they have shown signs of great football at times, but it's the inconsistency. I've got to agree with you. He's to be at least an average manager in this league, you've got to be consistent somewhat.
I think you're putting him in bad.
I think he's top of bad.
I think he's better than Mikel Arteta, though.
He's lost 9-0 twice, Stefan. Come on, man.
No.
Yeah, but he's got Danny Ings firing, as you've said, and look, compare their teams.
I don't think their teams are too different.
You don't think their teams are too different?
I think obviously Arteta's got a bit more better quality. All round, Southampton haven't got a bad team at all, and to lose 9-0 with a team like Southampton, who shouldn't be losing by more.
Southampton obviously losing 9-0 is a shock to the system, but Mikel Arteta's got, for example, he's got Thomas Partey, he's got Aubameyang, he's got Lacazette, he's got Leno, whilst Hasenhüttl hasn't got any player near that calibre. He's made Danny Ings look unstoppable at times. For me, I can't have Ralph Hasenhüttl below Mikel Arteta.
I think even Charlie Austin looked unstoppable at one point in that 2014-15 season. Hasenhüttl has got nothing to put him above Arteta. Arteta won his FA Cup. I think
the FA Cup
something in the way.
The FA Cup is purely the reason Arteta is above him, I think. Because I actually did rate 9-0 well, the second one. I did think Hasenhüttl was a decent manager, but that not winning in the trophy. Well, obviously he can't win 9-0. There's not, like you said, there's no manager that's lost 9-0 twice.
Exactly.
He's got to be in the bad here, I think.
Klopp lost 7-2. We're not saying Klopp's ratings or the viewpoint upon Klopp has gone down.
Yeah, but he's done it once. Come on, man.
Yeah, and Klopp's won the Champions League. And if Arsenal had won the FA Cup, this would be a different story.
Okay.
I think you've got to put him there. There you go. Oh, no.
Scotty Parker.
Final one, Scotty P.
Guy Parker, yeah. I think, you can start, Don.
It's a bit of a tricky one. He's a bit unproven, but he hasn't got many things that stick out, unlike Arteta. But he doesn't have anything that sticks out for the wrong reasons either. You could say he's playing to a low enough level, but he's playing good. I feel like his team doesn't match how he should be playing. He's got Loftus-Cheek playing all right, but even 2016-17, Loftus-Cheek played decent. But I'm really not sure with him. He has nothing that lights up my idea that makes him say he should be a good player, but he's got nothing that says he should be a bad player. Not player, he was a brilliant player. Manager. I don't know. I really don't know. I put him maybe between Arteta and Hasenhüttl.
I actually agree bang on, because I think his taking Fulham up was impressive, and he's not in a great place right now. But everyone can admire that Fulham's played good football this season. And if he was at a better club, I think he would be getting the credit he deserves.
Yeah, I don't think he's a bad manager. If you are putting him in between those two, he's not a bad manager. He's far from it.
We would agree in putting him between Potter and Arteta.
Yeah, let's put him in the average side though.
Nice.
Right, that's the list we've got. In good tier, we've got from 1 to 3. We go Pep, then Jose, then Jurgen Klopp. In great, which is still a very respectable category, Ancelotti, who's done it everywhere, and Brendan Rodgers, the tactician of Scotland. Average, Bielsa, Tuchel, Moyes, Dean Smith, Nuno, Dyche, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Graham Potter, Scotty P, Arteta Ball. In bad, so the actual only insults here are Hassan Hootel, Chris Wilder, Big Sam Allardyce, Wally Hodgson, and we believe
Let's not take the
Steve Bruce should be sacked.
Yeah, he will lose his job for sure.
Interesting.
I think that's a great list. A lot of people are going to disagree, but that's the beauty of football. Everyone has their own opinion.
Like Arsenal fans are going to have something to say, as are a lot of Chelsea fans and a lot of the population that think rightly that Bielsa's not that great.
We'll leave that up.
We'll leave it at that. Anyway, this has been Premcast episode 1. My name is Stefan. Their names are Dominic and Miguel, and that's all.